Okay. Well, I'm so excited to be joined by Nick from the City of Shoreline, and he's going to talk to us about the parks and accessibility, the latest ADA plan, all of that kind of fun stuff that I know some people have been asking
Mhm.
about, and so we got a hold of Gina, thankfully, got a hold of City of Shoreline and got moved around a little bit, but we got a hold of Nick, and here he is. So go ahead, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, and so nice to be with you guys tonight. So I've got first of all, I'll start my presentation and I'll share so you guys can see it. There we go. So is that working? Everybody seeing that? Perfect. So my name's Nick Borer, and I'm the Parks Fleet and Facilities Manager for the City of Shoreline. Um, I've been here. I came from Seattle, 4 years ago, and I spent 26 years there in the Parks Department there. So I've got a lot of experience, did a lot of accessibility stuff there also. Um, but this is much closer to home, and I don't have to drive to West Seattle every day. So I'm doing cartwheels. So I'm just going to run through these slides. Some of it, if I'm too basic, I'm sorry. I just run through these real quick, and then I'll share some pictures of some of the improvements we made in a couple parks, and then I'm here to answer questions. So does that work? Anybody have any questions right off the bat? We're good? All right. I am going to go to second slide. So ADA self-evaluation and transition plan. So we've done this with in City of Shoreline. It's kind of got four things we're trying to do. So we need to find the barriers that make it hard for people with disabilities to access and move around in our shoreline park facilities. We need to determine ways we can fix those barriers, so what we can do with them, and design when to fix them. So we need to set a schedule and then pick a person in city leadership who makes sure the city fixes barriers each year. And I happen to be the one for parks. So why do we do this? Federal law, the ADA, American Disabilities Act 1990, specifically Title II applies to shoreline. And then also the Architectural Barriers Act of 1968 that was updated in 2013 and included accessibility guidelines for outdoor developed areas. So as of 214, these guidelines are part of the ABA standards. And that set forth, these are rules for the federal outdoor facilities and how they should be built and how they should be repaired. Um, we receive federal grant money, so we follow that also. Next one. So park facilities, what do they include? So this is for park facilities, and it's strictly facilities. So it's not for programs, services, or other activities that will come later when more funding is available. So park facilities, playgrounds, play fields. You can see the list here: restrooms, picnic areas. So the things you find in your local parks. Um, and what are they? No curb ramps in a parking lot, no pathways that are sloped wrong, too steep. There's no resting areas, cracks, bumps. We have a lot of asphalt paths with root intrusion that makes it difficult. Restrooms without um, towel dispensers and toilet paper dispensers in the inaccessible locations or grab bars to assist with that. Lack of space in them, playground structures with no transfer opportunities, and doors and gates that are hard to open. So, the process, how we did this. So we hired an architecture firm and we visited 21 park sites. The architect took notes, took pictures, made list of barriers, um, checked facilities. I mean, checked everywhere. So we have 42 sites within the city. We did not do them all. We did 21, basically half, for a couple of reasons. Partly, I don't know how familiar you are with the bond projects, but we've redone 8 parks. We're just trying to finish that up. Um, And so that went as part of that project, that was a big project that Shoreline citizens voted on, $32 million. And we're updating all these parks and bringing everything up to speed, up to accessibility standards. So we didn't do that. And then we have a number of natural areas with no really developed facilities, not even parking, it's street parking. So there's nothing really to bring up to speed there. Um, so to photos, you can see in the slide there of kind of a layout of the report, and you can see this all on the website. And there'll be links. I think there was links in the email that went out. No, there are links in the at the end of this also. Things we found were, parking. No, so the parking signs that were too low, too much slope in a lot of areas. Parking spaces that don't have access aisles, so ADA spots without access aisles. Um, Slopes. I already mentioned that. What else? Benches with no adjacent wheelchair space. So companion seating is kind of a big thing. We really want to focus on that. Restrooms. Good news was restrooms were of a correct size and compliant water closets and sinks. So the actual facilities compliant, they were compliant. There's just grab bars missing and sinks at a wrong height or toilets at a wrong side. But it's nice that they were big enough. That saves us some money, although we'll get to that later. What else? So there you go. That's that. Um, how do we prioritize? So many reasons influence how the city picks ADA barriers to fix. Um, um, uh, we ask ourselves four questions. So are we making sure our existing planned projects will fix ADA barriers? So something that's not necessarily ADA related, but if it encompasses scope that we can fix ADA barriers, we'll do that. Which barriers do people in the community want? So we've had some outreach, and I'll talk about that a little later. How much money do we have? We have a finite budget. There's only so much pie, and everybody wants a piece. So we have to try to work that out. And then are we making these areas? Are we doing this in an equitable way? So there's certain parts of the city. I'll talk about that later too. That um, traditionally don't get as represented as well. So are we looking at that and taking that into consideration? Um, so we have a matrix tool. So this is all part of, I'm just going through, and these are some highlights of some of the charts in there, and you can get in there if you want to really dig into it. So we've got the ADA barrier prioritizing map tool, and I'll explain that in the next couple of slides we're using. On the bottom of this slide here, the federal ADA accessibility barrier removal priorities. So that list of four is first, can you get into the park? Is kind of number one. Number two, can you get around and get to the facilities you need to get to, like the play area or the restroom? And then three is actually in the restroom or when you're interacting, is there challenges? And then the other amenities like water fountains and things like that. So, uh, Um, availability outside funding. So we go for grants, and I mean, that has to do with that. Presence of unique amenities, so access to water, a skate park or community gardens, which we'll talk about. That goes into decision making. Cost estimates, how much we have, how much the cost is, how can we build this into our CIP program? And finally, public input. So we put a lot of weight on that also. So here, this map is the community needs map showing disabilities. So on this is City Shoreline, and the darker colors are where there's more population of that individuals with disabilities. I want to say this is from the 2016-2020 U.S. Census America Community Survey. That's a little dated, but it's the best data we have. And it is the exact same data that we use in our PROSA plan, which I'll talk about a little bit later too. And there's a link to that in here. The other thing, so looking at this map, you see the green. So the parks, they're green, and there's a light green and a dark green. So the dark green had public input as we were doing this process about specific things they'd like to see changed at those. Light green, there was no specific comment. and then the size of the circles. So that shows the number of visits, which also each park has. So a big, like Shoreview, Richmond Beach, that obviously, the beach there that gets far and away the most visits. And then coming behind that is Shoreline Park, Hamlin Park, Twin Ponds, and Shoreview. A lot of that's with the athletic field. So that's the ones that get the most visits. So we look at that also. This map here is the composite map for social inequity. So again, the darker colors, there's more inequity present. And again, same data, we use this in the PROSA plan, but we use this as part of decision-making process too. So community engagement. So the council's anti-racism resolutions, I'm sure you've had them. They play an important role in guiding how we do everything. Getting input. Whoops, went too far. Getting input. Where did I go? I'm sorry, I went the wrong way. There we go. Getting input is from citizens is important. It helps focus on the most impactful improvements, and the project team that we employed, we used inclusive outreach tools, culturally appropriate management methods, engagement methods. To basically reach a diverse range of residents. We had public engagement materials in 5 languages, used alternative text to describe visual elements. The digital content was screen reader ready, friendly, and language was simplified. You'll look at some of this stuff we've simplified so people it'd be easier to understand. Engagement strategy was focused on the following key voices: people with physical, intellectual, or developmental disabilities, people 65 years and older, caretakers of people with disabilities, and then organizations that support people with disabilities and adults who are over 65 years old. So that was kind of some of the focuses we looked at. Um, we hosted online open houses, online public survey, and held several in-person events. The city asked community members for ideas on what changes are most important to them. So we gathered input from 73 community members through 39 survey responses, 4 focus groups with 31 people, and 2 agencies interviewed with 3 people each in those agencies. Plan cost. So some of the ADA barriers are less expensive to fix than others, and city maintenance are just O&M can take care of them. For instance, the sign's too low in front of a parking lot, we can bring it up to accessible height, or a grab bar needs to be installed. In some cases, we can do that. Um, Other ones are more costly to fix, like curb ramps or sidewalks with slope problems. So we need to plan for that. In this plan, you'll find 2 types of cost estimates. First is a rough order of magnitude, and that is basically the cost of the construction itself to fix a barrier, whatever it happened to be. When we added everything up, we got right at 6.2 million worth of improvements that need to be made to fix those barriers. And then the second type of cost is a project estimate cost. So that includes planning, project management, permitting, all those soft costs, parts that come with a project. And we add that onto the cost, and that came up to 10.9 million. So that sheet, or the chart on the right there, I don't know how well you can read, but that kind of shows you the needs at the various parks that we visited. So funding, the city, for the most part, is going to pay for this out of our general funds. We will put in for federal grants, and they may help with that. The city funds an actual ADA barrier removal 6-year CIP plan. We do that. The council decides how much money we put in that and how much is available. And like I said before, the pie's only so big, and everybody wants a piece of it. So. The current, this 25-26 biennium, we have $400,000 allocated for that. We have not spent that last year, and I'm struggling. I want to try to get this done this year, or we will carry it over. It's primarily due to the bond. The bond projects have gone over, and we've been focusing on that, trying to bring those home. But we'll keep moving. But when I keep saying biennium, that we have a 2-year budget process. So biennium 25, 26, and then we'll go to a new budget process in 27, 28. Um, this plan prioritizes how we remove them. The city council decide how much money um, during future biennium budgets. We've set a target of 70 years, so that seems like a long time, but that equates to basically roughly not quite 10% of our capital budget every year, so $313,000 put into doing these repairs. Um, the barrier removal budget may be higher or lower in any given year. So we might do a big refurbishment project of a park or something, and then we would do less barrier removals because we'd be fixing that with other capital funds. So it will vary year to year. It's not going to be the goal is to have an average of that spent, basically roughly 300,000 on average over the years. Um, So this plan gives us tools to rank these removals. It's different from other agencies. I've looked at several other ones. They have a static list, and here's their list, and they fix this first, that first. Um, I found we tried to write it in such a way that this is more flexible and can respond to adapting to condition changes or needs. We had in our previous PROSA plan, we had kind of a growth areas really specific, and then we found ourselves amending it because we had new opportunities and new needs, and so we try to structure it in such a way. Um, so we will look at this, and then we will recommend the barrier removal projects to City Council, and they'll consider how much money they want to put into it and what they'd like us to do. So that's kind of the process. Um, this helps council and helps us ensure that the removal is focused on future budgeting activities. Um, um, what else? ADA barrier removal. It's a long-term process. Just trying to make that clear, and it's step by step. We're not going to make huge bounds. Coming from Seattle, I feel privileged because their shortfall was in the 150 to 200 million. So they have a ton of more parks and everything too, but it's daunting. Tracking. So how we're going to track this? Each biennium we'll prepare a report, and it'll talk about what we've done, how much progress we've made, the summary of repairs, and that could come from the any unrelated CIP project that there's repairs in. It could be repair and maintenance projects. For instance, the men's restroom at Saltwater Park. Somebody took a firework and blew that up earlier this year or last year, and so I had to replace that. It's part of O&M. And when it came to do that, it was not at accessible height. So we made the changes with that changing that out and put it at the correct height. So and it showed that showed up on our list of from the architects, and that's one way we do it. So that gets tracked. Obviously, the ADA, any work orders we do, we'll track it that way. Any projects we have, we'll just keep track of that and provide lists. The other thing we're going to do is provide maps of where repairs have been made. And we'll provide, yeah, and when we have complaints from citizens, we get those from time to time, or actually grievances. We look at that also. Contact information. So the parks ADA parks. So I'm just parks, not citywide, just parks. ADA transition manager. That's me. Uh, we have a shoreline non-discrimination web page, and these links. I think I'm going to share this with you, and these links are good. If not, I can send them in an email to you and share them with anybody. So we have the parks ADA transition plan page, which I need to get that moved because right now that's still in the project, and this project is complete. It's in progress. We're going to put it on our PRCS webpage. Um, that non-discrimination page I was talking about, and then I kind of referred to it a little bit, the Parks, Recreation, Open Space, and Public Art Plan. So that's a big driver of CIP work and what we do too, and it's part of this. So, and then you can always call for information, the 801-2700. That's the parks kind of general information, um, and they'll get you to somebody. So. So now I'm going to talk about a couple parks improvements. So these are bond projects. So here's Krugerberg Garden, the first one we're going to talk about. You can see on the map here, it's in the upper kind of left-hand corner, right on the north end of the city. If you've never been there, it's kind of hidden, hard to get to. You need to go down just past the bowling alley there and hang a right and go up the hill there. That's kind of where it's at. I think everybody kind of would reference that. On the right side of the picture here is kind of a schematic design of the boardwalk, and it's a significant slope from the upper part of the garden on the left there down to the lower kind of level area to the right. You can see the contour lines where the boardwalk is. Um, so I got some pictures today. We went out there. So here is the entrance to this boardwalk from up on top. It's great, non-slip. It's got handrails all the way down. It's sloped. It has resting places. Um, Here's a depiction of the how many switchbacks is we need to do to get that at slope so you can safely get someone in a wheelchair all the way down to the bottom. And we just couldn't do that prior to this. So it's just fabulous. Um, and then here's another one that's taken early. I mean, the spring growth. So this one was taken early. The rest of these are taken today. And look at all the spring growth. And this boardwalk just weaves through the trees. There's places where you're 10, 15 feet above. You feel like you're in there with the birds. There's habitat logs that with woodpecker holes that you can look through, and it's really pretty neat. Um, Here's some of the switchback, shows the diamond pier. So it was basically pin piers. So we put basically chunks of concrete with pipes sticking out in various directions. That way we could rotate them to what we needed to do to get them safely secured and not damage any of the roots. So there wasn't a lot of trenching done. It was um, really friendly to the environment. And I mean, we're protecting it. It's the Krugerberg Garden. There's so many wonderful trees there, and we're really trying to protect those. Here's kind of the bottom of the entrance on the left there, and then you can see part of it coming down. And then there's all kinds of areas. We have classes there for young kids. Just a ton of stuff going on in this park in the summer. We did increase. It's open 3 days a week now, so you can get on the website and look for it. It's open more. I would encourage anybody that gets a chance to go visit it. Um, this picture here, that just shows you how it's built right into the trees. So we built right around them. It's right there. Kids can go and anybody can go and touch it. It's just wonderful. You can see the decorative artwork. We have that at various places on there, in the metal panels and stuff. The net mesh is really thin, so those people that are shorter can see through and still experience everything. Um, and then that last picture there on the right is actually the ribbon cutting. So everybody's there. And if you look at the very back on the right, the highest spot there, there's a kind of me in a white shirt and a blue jacket. That's me there. So you can kind of see that. So that is Krugerberg, and then Richmond Highlands Park, which is kind of in the center of the city, just off of 99, a little bit um, west of 99, in case you don't know. And then here's a schematic view. On the right's a baseball field. There's a loop path that goes all the way around there. You see a new sport court kind of on the north edge, and then straight below that is a big inclusive play area. The building is a community center, which this project didn't touch that, but that community center is there. And then a sensory garden, all with accessible pathways. You can get all the way around this entire park to every feature on here without having to go up a step. There's ramps. It's at grade. It's just I'm really I did a lot of work in Seattle, a lot of parks, and this is one of the most successful. I'm so proud of this park. So here's a picture, kind of that bowl area looking towards the community center from the back. Lovely landscaping. You can see the sport court in the background and then the play field on the right there and the little balancing units there. It's just fabulous. Here's the sport court. Um, people playing basketball. You see the player in the back. We have outdoor ping pong tables there, so you see people using those. Um, the backboards go up and down, so people are shorter have it's multiple ability. They can be moved around. There is a wheelchair accessible whirl, so you can roll your wheelchair right in there and get strapped in and spin around, and that's so popular for the kids. Not just people, but just everybody. They love sitting in that and playing in that. And then the play structure, you see the low slopes in that. So climbing, if someone has mobility, they can get up, go down the slide. There's transition zones, lots of benches and stuff for parents or whoever caregivers to watch and keep watch over. All the benches and stuff you can see. I mean, these have the extended ends, so you can put a wheelchair under them and sit next to somebody. The same thing with the benches. There's spot in the concrete next to them. There's plenty of room around the barbecue, so a person in a wheelchair has accessibility to it. Um, some more, just another angle of the play area, the bucket swing there. Kids love those. There's a communication board here too. So those that have challenges with communication, we put that in there. It's all synthetic turf, play turf, we call it. And um, it's so successful. Every time I drive by there, especially on the weekend, I just love it because just everybody's there. Every aspect of it's being used. It's just fabulous. Here's the sensory garden. So there's pathways and seating quiet areas. There's some kind of passive music, some kind of drums and chimes in there, certain areas. It's great. I mean, this park just has something for everybody. I'm really, really proud of it, in case you can't tell. And then here's the bowl kind of area with hillside slides. That slide on the right is a roller slide. Kids really get it. It's basically a whole bunch of series of rollers, and kids can slide down that. It's just a different, unique experience. Um, and and then the other slides, you can go off those slides and then go back out from where you're standing here and get back up there if you have mobility challenges. So there's not like you have to climb a ladder or anything like that. And then the final slide. So here's the ribbon cutting there at Richmond Highlands, which was a huge turnout. It's just fabulous. I don't think I'm in there, but on the far right, um, in the kind of orange or peach, that was the project manager. That's Jacob Bilbo. Hats off to him. He's been doing all these bond projects and done a fabulous job. So there's my presentation. I'll entertain anybody have any questions?
So I visited that Beach Park on Thursday, and yes, it is amazing. My son's kind of got issues with trying to climb like stairs and stuff like that, and those slides were super accessible. And my 18-month-old loved the rolling slide. He thought that was
Great. Yeah.
he loved it. But
Yeah.
I commend you. That park is very friendly, and the ramps to get up there. The community center, on actually on the outside, there are bathrooms, right? Because the community center does indicate that there's no bathrooms inside there.
So yeah, that's a great question, and I would really struggle to do a different policy there. But that there are bathrooms, and we didn't touch it with this project. We didn't have enough funding. That being said, we are going to refurbish those bathrooms. That is part of a different project we're doing this year, and that's coming. It was a different pot of money.
Yeah.
Only challenge, which really frustrated me, is that when we did do some civil work, so some concrete work outside of that. We made the area in front of the entrance a little too narrow. I was going to add a drinking fountain back on there. There used to be one there. That's a rough area, and it was getting destroyed. So my predecessor took it off, and that made that area too narrow for accessibility for wheelchair.
Hmm.
So we're going to have to put it somewhere else, and I think I'm going to put it freestanding, and I don't know when I can get this done, but I think I'm gonna try to put a freestanding one over next to the building.
Okay.
Kind of by the court over there in the play area. So, but there is restrooms there. They are, it's a trip around, but they are accessible. You can get up to them from a slope to the right. They are in rough shape. I admit it, and that I mean, there's a lot of people with addiction problems that use
Yeah.
those and destroy those.
Yeah.
But we are going to refurbish them. So
I just noticed when we walked up there that the community center very blatantly says we do not have bathrooms. And I was like, the park's got to have bathrooms, but I saw them, but I didn't get to look inside of them,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's good to know.
Well, and part of that's because they have their choices program. So there is disabled, it's mentally challenged. There's a lot of challenged people that we run programs out of there, and then we rent that to the public,
Yeah.
on weekends and off hours. So it's not really an open community setting to the public. Teens do a lot of stuff there in the evenings and stuff too.
Yeah, okay. And that's is that the only other community center in Shoreline? Is that one in Shoreline Center or the
No, so Spartan Recreation Center,
Spartan? Okay.
which is at Shoreline Center. Yeah, and that's all school district property. That's got its own challenges. I've got heaters that aren't working there, and I'm working on that too. Yes, we have some aging infrastructure, and we're doing the best we can.
Yeah. I just
I
didn't
have
know
to
there was
say,
a second community center in Shoreline. That's why it was really interesting to see that with that park.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen the updated grounds around the community center there. I'm so glad you shared that. That was new for me. I
great.
vividly remember what it used to look like.
Such an
I
improvement.
got a little
Oh my
emotional at some of the
goodness. Yeah,
changes. It's amazing.
yeah. So when we're doing that with all, we're doing a bunch of other players, James Keogh. We've opened Ridgecrest. We will do Upper Hamlin. We're gonna put a couple spray parks in also. All those will be accessible. I mean, we're getting rid of the engineered wood fiber, so that the play chips or the wood that you see in the play areas, and put in either play turf or poured in place rubber. Um, Everything we're doing, we're trying to make it more accessible. So we will be doing that.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Not super important. I'm just curious. I noticed on your cost estimates list that the interurban is like a huge chunk of it. Is that just because it's so long, or like is it why is that one so expensive?
Yes, because it's so long. It
Mhm.
runs pretty much north to south,
Uh-huh.
and the ramps everywhere. There's just accessibility issues on every ramp at every corner. So how are you going to fix that?
Gotcha.
That
That's what I wondered
It's
if
an
it was the
animal.
trail itself or if it was access
There you
to it.
go. And that's why it's a 75-year plan, because we can't get to all that. So
Yeah.
if you go to the north end and the south end where the kind of the bus stops are and stuff, um, they are nicer. There's some more. They're accessible. There's that. It was kind of it's remnants of a train or a trolley. Unfortunately, there's always people that stay there too, that cause problems there. But yeah, yeah, and you can look at plan and see that, and email me, call me if you have any questions about any of this at any time. So
I really appreciated all the community input that you did too, and I think we were aware of that because some of us were involved in some of it at different
great.
points, and
Yeah,
your department's been a really great partner. Um, so you've come and spoken to us a few times over the last few years, and really appreciate it. And it's really cool to see how far things have come.
great. We're trying, and I'm happy to hear that, and happy to hear that you are, um, you see the stride, the effort we're making.
Else, thank you so much, Nick. That was so helpful
Yeah,
to hear about all that.
great. It
Okay.
wasn't too basic or anything like that. I didn't bore your. I mean, okay, great. I didn't. I was struggling to see how much I could do or what, and
No, it was
it's
great.
good.
It was great. Good
Great.
information.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording. Oops. See if I can do that.